Welcome to another edition of Pro Paintball Weekly, Face the Money. And today on Face the Money, we have the one, the only, the infamous John Rathbun from Chicago Evil here to tell us about their, again, breakthrough in Boston. John, thanks for hanging out with us, sir.
Hey, thanks for the great introduction.
I work on that, you know. But we talked about it. Let's get to it. Again, Boston was your event here, John. We're talking 13th place in Huntington Beach this year. You followed up with a 17th place in Tampa. And all of a sudden, you guys walk away with 4th place in Boston, John. America, the world, everyone wants to know, what's your secret?
I don't know if it's very much a secret or just the fact of people starting to believe in themselves. We had some tough luck in Huntington Beach. I hate to say that I work with PMI, and the weather, temperature changed, and the paint became a little brittle at the end of the day. But if you notice, we started off really strong. We beat a lot of top teams, Naughty Dogs. We beat Arsenal, things like that. Beat Joy Division. Went into Tampa. Yeah, that was pretty poor. I got no excuses for that other than the words that we sucked. That would be making it up. But going into Boston, I mean, we did a lot of practices. We've been practicing pretty much a lot of us practice every weekend. We practice at a place called Chicago Paintball. It's a Super 7 size field. It's an indoor paintball field, so we can go there at any hour that we want. They've helped us out a lot. They've taken care of us. It's close to Chicago, so PMI giving us the paint and helping us out has always been very good. Doing a lot of practices, doing a lot of drills, doing a lot of basics. Been playing against Avalanche and teams like that, and goofing off and trying to figure out what we might have missed. The last couple of weeks, we played the actual field layouts, pretty much set up the exact way that they were in Boston, which usually doesn't happen very often, but was very glad that it went that way. So we got to put our players in position roles, knowing what they were going to do and knowing where they were going to go and learn and feel a little bit more comfortable. We also had a couple of players that haven't really performed all that great. They've been consistent, but they've always had a lot more potential. For instance, one of them's name's Grant Butler. The kid's a phenomenal paintball player in practice and has been kind of consistent at tournaments, but has never really expanded himself or extended himself to try to be better, and the kid was just straight out phenomenal. A lot of the other guys played more consistent than they have. They did their jobs. I actually got to play. It's the first time I played since Huntington Beach in 2005. Got to play every game. Got to go out there and use my voice and communicate a little bit with everybody, bring a little bit of that element to the game. But overall, I mean, we had good team unity. We had a lot of drive. We won a lot of games. We came back from games that we didn't expect that we normally would have came back to because everybody's starting to feel comfortable with each other. It is a new team this year. Like you said, there are no superstars. There are a bunch of quality paintball players. I picked up 2 guys from Justice. I got 3 or 4 kids from Fusion. And it's a new team this year. We had to get a little bit of gelling together. Coming out of Chicago, it's really cold and not having the funding. Our practices were somewhat sparse until this indoor got up and going, which was in May. So since then, we've been practicing a lot, getting better, working with each other, learning each other, seeing what's going on, and it really showed in Boston. And if it doesn't carry over to San Diego, I'll probably kill myself.
Well, John, you've already answered all my questions I was going to ask you, but we'll run down. I was going to ask you about some of your key players, but you kind of already mentioned that, and I guess the biggest key was yourself. I guess you finally getting on the field. And no, I'm not going to let you say, oh, no, it wasn't me. So I'm going to say it. John Rathbun is the secret to Chicago Evil's success. You heard it here first. But I have a big question I want to ask you, John, and we'll see. Unfortunately, we're not going to get your live picture, so I can't get your reaction from this. But there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff going on that there was a phone call from some of the higher-ups at PMI or would not that gave you a call and said, hey, John, you need to pick up your performance or you may not have a job here. Is that true, John?
Not in any way. PMI has always been straightforward about the recreational market. I believe that the tournament thing is just basically a little pat on the back to me for the work that I do and the sales that I bring in. Because in all honesty, you'll notice our truck's not there. We no longer have a semi. We're basically recreational based. We do dabble in the tournaments, but to make paintball run, you do wholesale. Wholesale recreational market is where it's at. Tournament paintball is wonderful. It's great. I love it. I wouldn't give it up for the world. But it's not the NBA. It's not the NFL yet. But it could become that. But no, PMI never once said, John, you're going to lose your job if you don't get your stuff together. Plus, I mean, this year the team has basically been funded by myself and a gentleman named Eric Zorn from Easy Paintball out of Memphis, Tennessee. His son David plays for us, and we've taken upon our shoulders. We've started our own retail website, things of that nature, to try to promote Chicago Evil and take it a little bit away from PMI in the sense of not having them worry about the full financial burden, and try to come out with some different avenues to support and run a paintball team.
Gotcha. And again, we know how difficult that can be. But I want to ask you two quick questions before we let you go, John. We're running out of time. We appreciate all your detailed answers. Aside from you committing suicide, you mentioned, I think it's key here that a lot of people in Olympic sports and in professional, be it football, baseball, basketball, you always hear the word thrown around. They're always talking about, well, we believe in each other, or we believe, or this whole thing. And you're saying that's what happened in Boston. And do you think now, again, with 30 seconds or less, do you think that, I guess, has gelled now and that belief will carry to San Diego?
100%. You know, before there's like Grant's a perfect example. Again, I mean, I hate to keep bringing this kid up, but it's just a total change in the way that he's ever played for us to where he played in Boston. You know, he was always afraid that if he died, we would lose, just like a lot of players. You know, they were afraid to go. We were afraid to win games. We played paintball not to lose games. We didn't play paintball to win games, and there is a difference. I think now we're going out there to try to win paintball games, and no matter what happens, as long as we hang that flag, we're comfortable with the result. So.
Beautiful. Well, let me ask you this last question, John, before we let you go here. A lot of teams are finding, and we've talked about it on our last show, is that the playing both events, the MPPL and the NXL, is getting difficult to win in both venues. You guys focus specifically on the Super 7, and I'm assuming you plan to stay there, and do you see more teams starting to decide if they're going to play one format or the other? Because as we all see, the competition is just getting harder and harder.
I agree with you there. The question that I have, being in the wholesale part of paintball, is, you know, I don't know how much longer both leagues can survive, basically with how the industry's kind of flattened a little bit. You know, it hasn't gone down, but it's pretty much stayed consistent. And with the amount of paint that both leagues shoot, and seeing how it's the paintball manufacturers that are the ones putting out the sponsorship dollars, or the majority of the sponsorship dollars, I don't know how long each league is going to last. I hope that I put all my eggs in the right basket, which is the NPPL. I believe in what they're doing. I believe for most part of what Chuck tries to do. I'm on the rules committee, and you know, the NXL. I think it's a great idea. I just don't know. I don't know how much money you can put out with the amount of paint that you consume and everything else. But you know, I got great respect for Adam Gardner and a lot of the other people that are involved, and I think that I hope that both can survive. I just don't know how they can.
Gotcha. All right, so John sticking with the MPPL. Well, we're out of time on Face the Money. I'd like to thank John Rathbun for hanging out with us and answering those tough questions. And we'll look for you next time on Face the Money. God bless, everybody.